Good morning. This is Debra V. Wilson. This is Wednesday, the 11th of July, 2018. The time is 1000 hours and 20 minutes. That's GMT minus 6. And I'm in Winnipeg, in Canada, at the port. So I have the camera pointed outward because I'm trying to get the video actually isn't specifically about Winnipeg, but I like the forks and I want to kind of like to show it off. In any case, today's podcast is about representation and visibility. This morning, and again, that's GMT minus 6, here in Canada, when I was checking the email account I use for research, I have a plethora of YouTube videos, and one of them was a YouTube video from Ireland showing the Duke and Duchess of Sussex in Ireland, and Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. And it was right away, I found it quite interesting, and it set me in quite the intellectually exploratory mood seeing Meghan Markle. The first thing that went through my mind, and in this is accurately going to be described as a stream of consciousness, was that the imagery that the sight of a black woman in Ireland who is a member of the royal family, which is fair to say part and parcel of the brand and the status quo and the state, what is the state in the UK. I understand there's a division, separation between the political sector and the monarch, but nevertheless, when you think of the UK, the British family, you think of the UK. And I thought about Meghan Markle. I have a fair sense of how she defines herself based on what she's said publicly, but how she's perceived and what she might stand for from a political perspective, particularly as a black woman and a black woman who defines as a feminist. And I'm looking at her as also as a black woman who defines herself as a feminist. So one of the things about Meghan Markle that she represents is a continual erasing of narratives about what a black woman is or isn't and places she should or shouldn't be. I understand that some people find the royal family as an institution, that's the train you're hearing, problematic, and that she's now part of a system, an order that many people attach and assign meaning to around colonialism. And I'm certainly not dismissing that, but I would again say one of the things I think she represents is a continual expansion of, particularly with the availability of social media, of where black women belong. And where black women belong is where they want to be. So when I look at Meghan Markle, I think about my own journey, and many years ago, over 30 years ago, I traveled for the first time to the United Kingdom. And I flew 90% of the time, 99% of the time when I flew to Britain, I flew via British Airways. I was doing the whole Anglophile thing. And the first trip I took to Britain, I was a tourist and did all the tourist things that you would expect. I was on a tour bus, double-decker tour bus, and at the top didn't have a roof, and I was sitting there and watching, and as the tour guides pointed out, look at this, look at that, look at this. The first trip I took to Britain, one of the things I did do when I stepped out was away from the tour, was to go to Parliament. And I went as a tourist, and I walked around and looked around. I'm totally enamored with the way the world works, and I'm enamored with geopolitics, and particularly my focus has always been on countries other than my country of birth, which is the U.S. I'm fascinated by countries that are foreign to me. I like the feeling of being a foreigner in a city, in a country, and learning and experiencing from that perspective. So in any case, I went as a tourist. And the next 2, 3, maybe 4 trips that I made to London, I always made my way back to Parliament to take tours, to just sit. At one point, I was in Parliament and I saw people going into rooms and they didn't look like politicians. They looked like regular people. There's security everywhere, Metropolitan Police security. And I asked one of the police officers who the people were, and he was being a bit cheeky with me, and he said, people. And I'm paraphrasing, and I said, what are they doing here? And he said, they're in Parliament. And I said, no, but they don't look like politicians. And he said, oh, okay, we're judgmental. And I said, they don't look like politicians. He said, no, they're people here attending various committee meetings. And I asked if they were diplomats or who they were. He said, people. They're people. And I said, you can do that? And he said, are you a person? And I said, yes, you can do that. He said, if it's open to the public, you can go to a meeting. And this is before the internet, so I asked him, well, how do I find out about a meeting? And he told me how to look up meetings and where to find them and how to attend them. So over the next few months, because I was only in London for a short period of time, so for the next few months when I was back in the U.S., I poured over finding meetings. Eventually, I found this MP called Diane Abbott. And I started, she was a black woman, and I became fascinated with her, and I started following her and following her career. And she had this organization, grouping of business women called Black Women Mean Business. So there was no internet, and making phone calls, there were no Skype phone calls in. So you had to write letters or make an actual call from your landline, which was terribly expensive. So I wrote letters, several letters, to her office in Parliament. I thought that was quite amazing that I could do that as a foreigner and actually get answers back. In any case, I joined Black Women Mean Business. I never met the MP, but because of that meeting, I started going to Parliament on a regular basis. I've been to Prime Minister's Questions. In later years, I joined an organization that on a regular basis had its meetings in the House of Lords, in which members of the House of Lords were there. We, as an NGO, civil society, we were there. And occasionally, the random, in quotes, sitting MP would wander in there. It was all quite amazing. But back to Diane Abbott and her organization, Black Women Mean Business. I remember how I felt the first time that I walked into Parliament. I felt that I was a tourist, and oh, wow, oh, this is so amazing, this is so exciting. Every time I went, for a while, I still had that feeling. When I started going to Black Women Mean Business meetings, the feeling changed. And the feeling that I then had was I was there to do work. I was going to Parliament. I looked up other committees that were meetings that were open to the public, and I attended them. I made a habit of reaching out to MPs as a foreign national if I had questions about a particular topic of interest for me, and I knew that was their interest, a particular interest of them. I would reach out to them, and it enabled me to do personal research on my own. I always think about that Black Women Means Business. It officially started in 1992. I'll post a link to it in this podcast. And I always think about what the MP, Diane Abbott, did. She normalized two things. She normalized being in Parliament for Black women. And she normalized Black women, civilians, not politicians, they were not a part of the state. And me, I was a foreign national, being in Parliament. I remember that because of Black Women Mean Business, where I belong, I've never been one to internalize narratives about where I belong or don't belong. That's not me. And I've never been that person that needs to see someone that looks just like me before I can step into a place. I don't personally need that. But nevertheless, I am completely cognizant of the fact that because of Diane Abbott, organization, I and some other black women, I like to let people speak for themselves, but I think I'm going to be a little intrusive here and make some assumptions. That because of that organization, Diane Abbott expanded for a few women who has a right to be in Parliament, everybody, and who has a right to participate, everybody. And Diane Abbott, because of her, began the journey for not just me, but a myriad of other women of color, black women, and pushing the marginalization away and living a full and expansive life. In a few weeks, I'll be traveling to the UK. I'm hoping to do some research and see friends I haven't seen in a while and explore some things. I'll update as I get closer, and I'll certainly update when I'm there. But today when I looked at Meghan Markle, I saw a black woman who defines a biracial black woman. I saw a woman who has refused to internalize marginalizations, who has made decisions about where she wants to be and worked toward the direction she wants to go. And I look at her and I think she's yet another push against marginalization. I think of the women that have come before her. I think of Diane Abbott, who through her mere presence and her work in the House of Commons as an MP, she pushes against marginalization. And I also think about the fact that she took the initiative to start Black Women's Means Business and what she created with that. A myriad of black women like myself who didn't color within the marginalization, who didn't remain in the marginalization, who, because of Diane Abbott, Parliament was just as normal for us as was for a sitting MP. This is Debra V. Wilson. I'm in the Forks, and I don't know how much I've actually caught on film, but I hope you can hear this. There's a lot of background noise. And I'll update you as I go along in my journey and the upcoming travels I have to the United Kingdom. I'll update on that. I'm trying to do podcasts weekly, and I also have a podcast to do on Pride London and others. Anyway, this is Debra V. Wilson. I'm in Winnipeg at the Forks. Thank you.